Who's got more pressure next year? I guess DeBoer just based on where the programs are, but I mean, Freeze an additional year.
Well, and this is the year you've been pointing to with your NIL and your transfer portal, and he cannot bring in another quarterback and fail. I mean, you just can't. You failed with Peyton Thorne.
But what's acceptable? Because you want to see improvement, right? But improvement would be a team that goes to a bowl.
College football playoff. That's acceptable.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I would be if I'm look, there's only 12, and I know what Dunaway's going to say, man, all these guys can't make the college football playoff.
But are we talking Hugh or Kalen?
Hugh. I'm talking about both.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Kalen's
got to be there next year.
I don't even know. I mean, he's not getting fired, but I don't think the fans are just going to accept making a college football playoff next year.
No, if Kalen, I'll put it this way. If Kalen is in the same situation as Brian Kelly after 3 years, he's out.
Yeah.
Whatever the buyout is.
But I think for Auburn fans, Hugh Freeze, it's make the college football playoff. I don't think they're going to be thrilled with.
Well, I think there's a big gap between where they are.
There is.
Said they missed 2 bowl games and being
absolutely
in the playoffs.
Would they be happy to be Ole Miss next year? Would Auburn fans be happy to be Ole Miss next year?
Yeah, one of those teams in the conversation.
That's fine.
How do we get left out?
But let me say this. You talk about this gap, and there is a huge gap, but how big was the gap from Indiana? How big was the gap from Arizona State? And so if I'm an Auburn fan, all I am saying is our program is light years better than those 2 programs. Yeah. We have got an established coach. Signetti was not established. Kenny Dillingham wasn't established.
All I can tell you is that Kirk Signetti had his little pajama bottoms on, and I'm sure he didn't even have a top on, just pajama bottoms. He crunches his crackers into his buttermilk sitting on his nightstand to have a little snack before he goes to bed, looks at his wife, and he's like, about this Indiana job, I'm looking at this schedule. I think I can win 10 games there next year.
I don't know where this analogy is coming from.
I really don't either.
He said he was in bed one night and looked at the schedule and told his wife.
That's a 10-win schedule.
That's a 10-win schedule. I think I can win 10 games next year at Indiana. Hugh Freeze can't do that. Hugh Freeze can't sit there in his bed and look over at his wife and say,
how can
this
Indiana
schedule next
do
year?
that?
They were playing nobody,
It
Lance.
doesn't matter. Everybody on their schedule marked Indiana as a win.
Yeah.
Did they not?
They did, but they were playing nobody. It's different. It was different.
So Auburn's schedule next year
is tougher.
Well, there's no doubt it's tougher, but
nobody in the SEC can look at their schedule and go, that's a 10-win schedule.
Ole Miss, Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 10-win schedules this year.
And both of them got there, barely. Barely.
Well, but Auburn's at a conference at Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, and Mercer.
Okay, there's 4.
It should be.
Yep.
I mean, that should be 4. But, at Oklahoma, that's not an easy game. And at A&M, I mean, you open up back-to-back road games in the SEC.
They're going to be underdogs in both of those games. They'll be favored against Missouri.
Yeah.
Probably favored in Fayetteville. Favored against Kentucky. Favored against Vanderbilt.
So you're dog bye, and then you get the dogs at home. So that's your first 3 games is at Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, home to Georgia.
I mean, that's a tough start in conference. There's no doubt.
Oh, and Baylor, that's probably a loss.
You what? At Baylor is a loss?
Yeah.
You think Auburn's going to lose at Baylor?
If they played right now, these 2 teams, Baylor would beat
It's not
Auburn.
going to be these 2 teams.
I know.
Though, but
I'm just saying Baylor's in a better spot right now.
If Auburn opens Saturday, August 30th in Waco, Texas with a loss, it's 5-alarm fire at that point.
Yeah.